Hi Pitchfork, I'm Chinouriri and my Perfect 10 album is If You Leave by Daughter. For me, discovering it when I was 14 was quite life-changing in the span of how I perceived music and how I perceived art. It was one of the first times I had listened to, let's say, a whisper singer that made me realize that I want to make music in a similar vein and be more experimental with music versus the music that I knew and what I grew up listening to. It feels very running through a field. It feels very freedom. It feels really big, but it's actually quite small in the same sense. The use of reverb and ambience is just something where when I have it in my headphones, I feel like it consumes me into a world and takes me to a different space. The highlights on that album for me is definitely Youth, but also Smother. I think Smother lyrically just really hit me. Talks about being a fragile being, and I think at the time of discovering it, I was going through a lot at school. I was learning a lot about my emotions, about negative emotions I had about myself, and it was the first time I had a song which really made me think deep down about who I am and what I am and how I deal with negative emotions. So I learned to cope in a very beautiful way. My memories of listening to that album, it definitely reminds me of my Tumblr days, my Tumblr era, the skateboarding in the parks, the walking and looking at dawn. I grew up kind of in the middle of the countryside and the city. It just kind of reminds me of going back then and thinking I was so edgy because I discovered some new low-key music. I think the album has not just inspired my work, it's inspired my artistic integrity, I would say. It's something which anytime someone asks me who I'm inspired by, I always mention Daughter because of how I choose to sing, the tone I use to sing. I think the level of ambience, how much the sound of bass can really change a song and the feeling, and it's more about how you feel it versus what you hear. I think that's really been a game changer for me with discovering Daughter. I think that album changed the context of music for me because it helped me heal a lot of my mental health issues and my depression and my loneliness and how I felt. And when it came to write my own album, I wanted my album to reflect in the same way with the use of lyrics and tone, and I always went back to that album as a reference of how it made me feel, the sounds it had, the moments of silence. Things like Garden of Eden is a good example where, you know, strategically thinking about tones and sounds and the journey of a song, and I think their album definitely influenced me in that way. Thank you, Pitchfork. That was my Perfect 10, If You Leave by Daughter. Everyone should check it out. It's amazing. Thank you for listening. Mwah.